presented by Fidelity First. I'm Naomi Tucker, joined by Keith Fusel here today. We're going to talk about all the action that happened yesterday, but first things first, thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a challenging week. We know that there's a lot of people at home. We're hoping that they're tuning in and we can provide them with some sports action, some entertainment. We are currently one of the few sports still running in the United States.
Yes.
So we're hoping to bring you with a little bit of relief from all the stress that has been plaguing everyone. But if you didn't tune in yesterday, we'll get you up to speed with everything that happened. We had 4 stakes races. And Keith, I know that you flew in from Florida. You weren't here yesterday. You came in from nice sunny weather. It's a little bit more dreary out here.
Gosh, I came in from 85 and sunny yesterday. I got in last night about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. It was rainy, dreary, but I'm glad I had something to get up this morning and go to. Get back into doing what I love doing, handicapping the races, doing the odds, joining you and Stan and Tim and the whole team. And, it is a trying time. We're racing, maybe a little bit of silver lining. We've got to make something out of it right now. I'm glad we have a product to put the sports fans, on their plate, let them try it out, because we are going to gain some new fans over the next several weeks.
I hope we will. And massive credit goes to the Maryland Jockey Club with making sure that we can still put on these races, with providing us with measurements to make sure that we're all staying healthy and happy. We are racing without an audience. We're trying to make sure that we're keeping everyone safe. And massive credit to them all. We've all been working very hard and we're so happy to be here. And did you get the chance to have a look at some of the stakes races?
I did. I did. I was at my friend's house down there and had a little break. They also love betting the horses. They're originally from here. And yes, we had the TV going, the computers fired up. We were playing a little bit and enjoyed the card that was put on yesterday. It looked like a really, really good card all the way through, and some pretty strong performances as well.
It was a very strong card indeed, and it was a day of triples actually. Claudio Gonzalez had a triple which included a stakes double. Now a stakes double for the 3-year-old. He won the Beyond the Wire stakes with Princess Katie. He also won the private terms with Lebda and then took the nightcap with Galazzo. And it was also a triple for jockey Alex Cintron. So it was a strong day for the both of them. But let's have a look at our feature, the private term stakes with Lebda in the stretch.
Lebda on the outside. Lebda with a push-by run. Lebda's in front now from Took Charge out of the inside. My Friend's Beer is now picked up third. A furlong left to go. Lebda took charge and My Friend's Beer third and Mine Not Mine far outside in fourth. It is Lebda with a stamina. Lebda and Alex Cintron. Lebda now by 6. My Friend's Beer and Mine Not Mine will be third.
Dominating performance there from Lebda. What did you make of that?
I
Keith?
just love the way that he relaxed early. He Took Charge go out, was a little bit keen on the lead, didn't panic whatsoever. The rider just steadily made up ground to the quarter pole, and it was over from there. Here's a horse that loves Laurel. A little bit of a backstory on this horse. A very small purchase early on, I believe, as a yearling, then resold at a sale for $100,000. The connections, they got to be loving this, and I think wanting to stay around here. Lebda proven at this racetrack, and I tell you, showed a little different tactic. The last stakes win on the front end, was able to relax this afternoon. Extra ground does not look like a problem for Lebda.
No, and Lebda, I know that Claudio Gonzalez came up to me before the Miracle Wood, his win there. He said, this horse is good. Better go and bet this horse. So I paid attention to the horse in the paddock, and he was towering over the field. And then to come back here in the private term and do the exact same thing he did last time out. He is a good horse, and I'm very excited to see him run this year as a 3-year-old. Now, there was another race. It was the first stakes race of the day, race number 5, the Nelly Moors. This personally was my favorite race of the day. What a battle there between Arafana and Horologist. Let's have a look at the stretch.
A quarter of a mile left to go. Horologist Arafana set down in the clear on the outside. And Bye Birdie is in third position and needs supervision in fourth. Horologist trying to hold off Arafana. Arafana on the outside up to Horologist. They're head to head and nose to nose for the last furlong. Arafana, Horologist giving her all on the inside. Arafana head in front. Arafana, Horologist roaring back on the inside. Arafana, Horologist, Arafana up and down. Photo! Arafana, Horologist, and a thriller in the Nelly Moore Stakes.
Incredibly close finish. And I was actually standing with the connections of Horologist. They didn't know if they had to celebrate or cry because it was that close. Nobody knew what the finish was until it was called officially.
Yeah, it ran too good to lose. And Horologist looks like coming back to her game. She had a couple little hiccups in her running lines, but you thought the connections making the move and shipping to here, they thought they had a filly that was right. Arafana making her 4-year-old debut. She had to work for it, no doubt about it, but I think she's going to move up off of that effort. Man, I really like her at the one turn, Arafana.
Yeah, and trainer Kelly Ruby, very proud of this filly. And of course, a race named after Nellie Morse, who was the filly that won the Preakness before. Obviously, we had Rachel Alexandra do it later in 2009, but she was a tough filly. I think it was 1945, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm not going to try to correct you because I don't know.
So obviously, it's a great stakes race to win. And to have a female trainer, a strong female trainer like Kelly Ruby win, it makes it even more special. Now, coming back to today's action, we have an 8-race card for you, and we have a nice pick 6 carryover starting in race 3. The current carryover is 16,493, and I have a ticket for you as well. So let's make sure that somebody takes away that money today.
I could use that coming back off a little break. I didn't spend 16,000, but I spent a couple bucks down there. I'd like to get it back in. Remember, starts in race 3 this afternoon.
And of course, we have our official betting partner of the Maryland Jockey Club, First Bet. You have all the tools in the palm of your hand. Use your phone. You can watch over 300 tracks live. You can use the handicapping algorithms. It is so easy to use. It's color coordinated. I started playing around with it a couple of days ago, and I'm enjoying it. So go to first.com/bet to download the app and use the promo code FIRSTMJC. That's 1STMJC, because if you deposit $100, they match it. Now, how good is that, Keith?
It's great, and we're going to try to attract, obviously, this time, these trying times, people are going to be looking for something new, an avenue for their gambling. We are the prime spot right now. So I even had a friend of mine who owns a local establishment, bar, restaurant, and he got on the phone to me today. He says, "What can I do? What can we kind of get some people more involved? Because I'm going to have people coming into the bar. They love sports. They like action." Yeah, we're gonna get you that product. We're gonna get you something that these fans can get excited and something to bet on. So it's a little bit of a bright spot for some of what these people are going through, and right now what we're gonna have to work through for the next several weeks.
Well, that's exactly what we're hoping to provide some entertainment for those that have to stay at home with their children or self-quarantining. We are here for you. It has been challenging, but we're hoping to provide a little bit of fun throughout the day. And I've actually had people text me as well. How do I sign up for First Bet? What is the promo code? Because this is a great offer.
Yeah, I mean, to get into the game right now, it's you're going to have different incentives from different people. I think what we've got right now is going to be the spot you're going to want to be in. Head to First Bet, check out all the information, and hopefully we'll gain you as a new fan.
So let's have a look at what the track is shaping up like today. And the track currently is good. The first post is at 110, 44 the temperature. The wind is east at 3.5 miles per hour. A little bit overcast, like I mentioned, not as sunny here as in Florida, I'm afraid, Keith. But the track is currently good, and we got a nice 8-race card for you. I feel like I'm not doing as well on the weather front as Stan does. He seems like our resident weatherman. So I think I'm going to scratch up on this a little bit. But I've been checking out the weather. I don't think we're going to get any rain today. It is a little bit overcast, but currently good. So the team does a great job here at the track.
Oh, they did. And coming in, flying in last night, and all the rain that we had overnight, and you look at that racetrack is going to be fast. And we don't have any other precipitation coming in. I'll talk to the track super, and I think that upgrade probably by the first race. It looks fast to me, so call it good to fast. I'm going to call it fast, though, and let's get started here, right?
Yeah, let's get started with race 1. We start over a mile and 16, maiden 10 grand claimer for a maiden filly, straight up 3-year-old. And Stan has got an early pick 5 ticket to get you started here today. And we won't have time to go over it, but do go to laurelpark.com to find all our selections and all our tickets on the website, because we have lots of tickets for you to play today. We've been very busy making sure that we literally can provide you with anything you need. I know you have a ticket as well, Keith.
I do. I've got a later pick for it. Something we can do to just cover the card for everybody. So if you want to join in a couple group of people, 3 or 4 people, you got some friends, each put $20 up. Now you can add to that ticket that we've already got lined up for you. We're going to give you reasonable tickets to start out with, but if you're feeling a little frisky and you want to go a little bit deeper, go ahead. Add some money to that ticket and give yourself a really good chance to make some dough.
Yeah, so in race 1, I ended up putting the number 5 on top here. That is Kayla's Vision for the Dale Capuano, but with Sheldon Russell on board, they make a phenomenal team together. I thought his last race was decent. He only got beaten by a head there. He was right there for at the end of the race. He wasn't close to speed early on, but he did run decent enough fractions for this level. But I see that you end up going with the number 6 Micro Margarita for Claudio Gonzalez, who comes here red hot off that triple yesterday.
Just taking a little flyer. Scratch the 2 Palace check, who was going to be one of your favorites in the opener. But Kayla's Vision had every chance, I thought, last time. Had a duel setting things up. Just could not get by Adabel for, I think that was Raul Garrido, at a pretty decent price. But stretching back out, Kayla's Vision, we might see her go right to the front. But I think she's going to have company. I think Micro Margarita, first time here for Claudio, gets to stay in Maryland now, was shipping in from New York. That might be the key. I want to see Ruiz be fairly aggressive from this outside post.
Well, I think we see this race fairly similar. I have the 5 on top, you have the 6 on top, but I have the 6 underneath, and you have the 5 underneath. So let's go ahead with race 2. That is over 5.5 furlong, beaten nickel claimer here for 4-year-olds and upwards, and it's the start of our early pick 4, and I actually have a ticket for you there. My early pick 4 ticket. I hope we're going to be able to show it to you here today.
Pick 4. There it is.
So I start out quite deep in this race. 1, 2, 5, 7. Think this is quite a deep race. It's a tricky race. There's a bit of speed in here. I think that there is a speed. The 1, the 2, and the 3, and the 7 might actually come over from the outside. Then in race 3, I go single on the number 2, which is Air on Fire. Trevor McCarthy, Linda Rice, coming over from New York. Now she owns this gelding herself. He's been running against much tougher competition than what he will be facing here today. I feel like she's just trying to, get a nice return here on her investment and possibly take him back to New York or get a nice easy win here today. So that's my single of my early pick 4. And then in race 4, I go with the 1 and the 6. I put the 1 on top, Sierra Leone, Charlie Marquez, Lacey Goddard, a team that we've been seeing doing so well over the last few weeks.
Absolutely.
And Charlie is worth his £7. More, I can't say anything more. Charlie factor. I'm calling it the Charlie factor. That's the term I'm going to coin from now on. And then in race 5, I go 3 deep again. 1, 3, and 6, and hereby the 6 is my top choice. Umu. Again, Charlie Marquez, but also I think that he knows how to go straight to the front from the outside. He dueled quite hard last time out, but then kicked clear very impressively on the Caro Cedino, and this time getting that £7 weight allowance might just move him up nicely. Cheap ticket, about $12 here. So guys, do go to the website laurelpark.com. We start at race 2 with the early pick 4. We have a few tickets for you here, and in race 2, I know that you got a stat as well.
I do. Before we go to the stat, race 2, just double check the guys. I have the 2 Cape Lookout as scratched. Is that?
Yeah, I do indeed. I actually did change that over. Excuse me, we did change that over. So take out the 2 Cape Lookout. My top choice is the 7. So I do believe that I would have the 7, the 5, the 1, and the 4 on my ticket. But we'll have a look.
I think it brings your ticket down to $9. So you're good. Saving us
there
more money.
There you go. Value. We had a few scratches here this morning that changed our picks over. I do think that we have it correct on the screen, and we'll have it correct on the website as well, laurelpark.com.
All right, so let's look at race 2. My top selection is going to be the 1. Looks good. Unfortunately, the price is going to come down considerably with the scratch of the 2 Cape Lookout. That's going to leave Bucktooth as a strong favorite, originally aligned at 7-5. Oof, maybe 4-5 when it's all said and done. Let's look at that stat, though, for looks good for Jerry Robb. Here we go. The last 2 years on the dirt. Smaller sample, but it works in the situation. 4 for 7, 6 for 7 in the money. Second off of a claim and running for less than $10,000. Look at that ROI. That's what I was hoping I was going to get today, Naomi, that good price. But the ROI of over $5 looks good. Second off the claim, a little bit of a reach. First time off the claim, just no factor whatsoever against a much better field for that open 8,000. Now we're back to the condition. Pretty good, sneaky race last time, 2 races back. Had speed, had to rate back and make a move. I think gets the first run on the speed because we know Bucktooth's going to the front. Maybe looks good, can wear that one down.
Yeah, so I do use Bucktooth on the front. Also, really like Carol Sedina together with Kieran McGee. Has the speed to move over from the outside. Made all on the rail last time out. Was posting very decent triple-digit US pace figures, which is one of the key handicapping tools that I love to use because they just give you so much information about the pace. And I just think that if he puts in anything similar to what he's been running the last 3 races, because he's been posting decent figures over the last 3 races, that he should be much the best here. Now, I also use the 5. I know that you've put the 5 in there as well. We have Charlie Marquez on board number 5. The winner is Abel Castellano. I thought that last race was very decent, although does get beaten by 3 lengths. But I just thought that he ended up going 4 wide. He closed faster than some of the other did. His last sectional was one of his fastest sectionals. 5th only by a few whiskers because the horse that won Top Star, he was basically gone. So I thought that could provide to be a little bit better, but what do you think?
Yeah, he had a little tougher trip than Bucktooth, who comes out of that same race on the 20th. He was hung about 4 or 5 wide, turning for home. Made a little run to slight flattening out, but I do like the improvement in figures, and you've got Marquez here, that factor. He's going to be able to drop in, save some ground against this field, I think, and it's going to enhance that run. So 1.756 for me. Yeah, Bucktooth getting that, shortening up a 16th of a mile. He's 3 for 5 at this distance of 5.5 furlongs. So, yeah, the road is going to go through the 7 as long as he breaks cleanly.
Yeah, as we move on to race 3, 5.5 furlongs, 5 grand, non-3 winners of life for 4-year-olds and upwards. Start of the Rainbow Pick 6 with our nice 16,493 carryover. And I actually have a Pick 6 ticket for you as well, which I hope we can get on the screen here. In race 3, I start with the 2, the 4, and the 5. Then I go 4 deep, the 1, 2, 4, and 6. Then in race 5, I go 3, 6. And then 3 deep again in race 6. 2 deep in race 7 and 2 deep in race 8 because in race 7 I had a single, the number 4, and he was a scratch as well. So I end up quite spreading out a little bit. I feel like today is competitive. There's a few races that can go either way, and my single of the day ended up not running, so I had to sort of change my tactics and spread out a little. But you get a nice $57.60 ticket for the Pick 6 with a strong carryover. Yeah. So hoping to make some money today.
Yeah, I just don't think there's a slam dunk in any of these races. So you did the right thing. That's a reasonable ticket, $57.60. If you can't quite go by yourself, grab somebody else and join in on the fun. So, yeah, we've got Super High 5 starting as well, right? In race number 3 with a carryover of $11.60 to target.
So we have a lot of money going around, and I do hope that everyone sitting at home might want to earn some extra cash now they actually possibly can't go to work. So let us help you to do that. So in race 3, now I actually have the 2 on top here. You didn't use the 2 at all, so I'm wondering if I'm just looking at something that you didn't see, because this is indeed, as I mentioned, the Linda Rice horse with Trevor McCarthy on board. Our leading rider, and together with Linda Rice, is 33%. And Linda brings in a couple of horses over here from New York, tends to do very well, tends to be competitive. She knows what it takes. This horse is dropping in class, comes from the 1st of March, a race at Aqueduct over 6 furlong. Didn't run as well there, ended up switching to the outside late on, had to go very wide, tries to make a claim, didn't. But I do think that because he wasn't in contention, he wasn't ridden out as hard, which is great because that means I'm hoping he comes a little bit fresh here. She owns this gelding by Unbridled Song. He has been running very strong figures before 28th of July at Saratoga. Now, he did have a 182-day break in between, but I really think that he's the class of the field to go for. But tell me why you didn't include him.
Well, a claim off of Jason's service and took 6 months to get back to the races. Didn't run that well, ran okay in the return, but then really went down. Had no excuse last time out. Linda, I think, dropping for 5, hoping to lose and lose the horse maybe and win the race. We see that. That's the tactic sometimes with these horses. They appear to be going off form a little bit. Might work in somebody else's barn. I'm just going to be against this horse because had the setup. This is a horse that usually stalks, likes to move into the pace. Was flat against just a so-so field for me. If he beats me, he beats me. I'm not going to go after the short price here. I go all the way to the outside. Baron of Bluegrass, just a couple excuses for him of late. He's quick when he's right. He's quick. An excuse last time was acting up in the gate. Popped the gates last time. Got him back in, but just flashing speed. I'm looking for this horse just dead set and go. He can get the jump on this field. If he clears and drops over, I think he can go wire to wire.
I think you're right. That could be very intriguing. I did use him not on top, use him underneath, because actually that race, the 16th of January, over 6 furlong, he missed the break by about 2 to 3 lengths, which actually wasn't noted as much on the byline. No, not does he on the byline here. We know that you do very
Here he is, first show with you, and you're coming after me. This
you guys
is great.
do a brilliant job on the bylines, but I just had a look at that race, thought that he actually spotted the field about 2-3 lengths. Do you want to do that over 6 furlong? No, you don't. You have no time to make up any ground like that. Thought that that was a race that looked better on paper. Still ran fast fractions, even though he wasn't close up to the pace, and ran down a lot. He was 8.5 lengths off them at the top, basically, and ended up finishing third by 3/4 lengths. So that could really move him up here.
Yeah, I mean, he gives you a little hope. I guess if he does miss the break a little bit, he's got a chance to stall. I think the best option is going to be put into the race early. Shadow Boxer will bounce back, I think. Just a dismal effort last time. I don't know what went on, but Ruiz comes back. This is another horse at 5.5, can kind of sit just off of it, make a move along with Lacrosse 6, very similar running styles. That's the one thing in this race. We've got horses with very similar running styles. That first eighth of a mile, 3/16 of a mile is very critical to see what kind of position these horses get, and are they to be able to relax a little bit? Are they going to be used a little bit too hard? So that's the nuances of horse racing. If you're new, that's the stuff that we love trying to figure out. We're not always right, but it's a challenge, and you can be rewarded for it sometimes. And Lucky Jr., I think Lucky Jr. is the main one here. His style is sit, make a run. He's got speed to target. He's going to be very hard. If you're looking for a horse maybe to bet the show that you think is going to rally into a pace, if it just unfolds a little too quick up front and some horses get a little tired, he's going to be the main benefit in race number 3. I do think he's going to come with a run today.
I was going to ask you, do you go for a closure because of the setup? But you do, because Lucky Jr. is indeed probably going to come or make his stake late. Now let's move on to race 4, which is over a mile, claiming 500,000 for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upwards. Now we also have a video here for the number 6, Miss Elephant. So let's start off with that.
Yeah, this is sometimes when I look at the race again, I think I've got her line too high. I know Sierra Leone is going to take plenty of money from the rail, but let's look at Miss Elephant's race last time out. And she might be even a little bit better, Naomi, on a faster, drier surface. But this race, Mary Epler got aggressive off of a big figure down at Gulfstream Park and just really relaxes off the pace and cruises up and gets the lead and is going to win. Going away, Jock doesn't even really ask the horse till, top of the stretch past the 3/16 quarter pole and is gone in here. Kieran waits, comes right back for the nickel. I think sits another very good trip. That was a race in which Towson, unfortunately, missed the break, had a lot of problems. Towson is going to be part of the pace flow this afternoon. But here's your little stat here for Kieran McGee. The last 2 years on the Laurel Dirt, he's 7 for 17, 41%. 14 for 17 in the money. First off the claim and back in for 5,000. I like that, a positive ROI. So Miss Elephant, I think we're going to get a little bit lower than that 7-2, probably that 5-2 range. But Sierra Leone has got to take a lot of play, right? Just one for open 8 and is right back in at the nickel.
Yeah, I put Sierra Leone on top. Not a big fan from the inside draw, but do think that she might be handy enough to go forward. She's not going to make the lead, but perhaps position herself well. Now, Charlie Marquez on board, and of course, trainer Lacey Godat. For the last 2 weeks, she's had 5 starters and 2 winners, 40% win and 80% in the money. I mean, there's a few trainers here that have just been doing incredibly well. She's one of them. She knows how to condition her horses. Sierra Leone, nice mare there, and I do think that if you look at that last race, she was behind very fast fractions. That was a really well-timed ride there by Charlie. I thought that was very impressive, and that shows also the growth that he's gone through as a jockey, because he was waiting, biding his time. He wasn't even there at the beginning of the stretch yet. Then he sort of started winding her up, and I thought if anything similar here today, she should be very competitive.
Yeah, very similar situations, her last 2 wins, where the field just kind of got away from her the middle part of the race. Charlie didn't panic. He got her into stride mid-turn, maybe leaving the 3/8 pole, and she leveled off and brought a serious run. And, man, he gets along with her perfectly. What's she going for? 4 straight today. She's won 3 in a row. She's been in deadly form. And this is the way you manage. You win for the open 5, go for the open 8, and we're not going to reach too far. Come back and do this move. It's the right way. It's the way you win races at a high clip. Lacey Gaudet is rolling right now. Her horses always look good on the racetrack.
Exactly.
Does a great job. Yep.
Well, I actually had a chance to speak to Lacey, and what she mentioned is that she thinks Charlie is so good because for some reason horses really try for him. Horses run for him. He's not too hard on them. You know how some riders have that sort of soft touch and that can really make a horse want to go for them. She was basically saying he has that. So we expect big things from him, hoping he's going to continue to do well. But let's go to a quick commercial break. My microphone keeps bugging.
Not that one, because it doesn't have a grip.
Second in the two-path. Ground on Birdie's inside. Race. A quarter of a mile to go, and he's 6 on top. It's last of the 12 as they roll into the backstretch.
As you just saw that commercial, do download the First Bet app because it is anything and everything you need to make some money today on this nice Sunday that probably a lot of people are relaxing at home, forced or unforced, but the First Bet app really does help. I've been playing around with it. I had my friends texting me saying, what is the code again? Well, the promo code for Maryland, as provided by the Maryland Jockey Club, it is the official betting partner, is First MJC, so 1STMJC. Now, let's start with race 5. That's also the start of the late pick 4, and you have a ticket, Keith.
I do. It's a $30 ticket. It's a little high here, but I think it's challenging enough. I think there's enough value where I'm willing to spend a few extra dollars to take this thing down. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6 to get you started in the 5th. What I don't have Kieran, watch him jump up and beat me in the 6th race. The 2, 5, and 6 successful zip I do think is the horse to beat in there. Race 7, the 3 and the 9. 2 L's Meow and the 9 gone home. Quite a few scratches in race 7. The 4, 5, 6, and 8 are out. So that really shrinks that field down. So I think they're the 2 horses to beat the 3 and the 9. And we're going to wrap it up with the 1 and the 7. In our finale, Coffee Please and Antrim. Aubrey, I'm trying to beat your morning line favorite, Glengar, who is off of a break here for Kieran McGee and Henry Clark III. So $30 for your late pick 4.
Well, this must mean that it's going to hit because normally you indeed keep your tickets a little bit lower. And it is a tricky card today, but tricky in a great way. It means we're going to have a bit of value when we're looking at these fields. And unfortunately, what you mentioned in race 7, my single got scratched there, but still a good race that we'll get to in a moment. Let's start with race 5. 5.5 furlongs, beating claimers for 4-year-olds and upwards. I was trying to figure out what the pace setup was going to be in this race. Ended up thinking that the 1 and the 6 quite possibly are going to go for, but what do you think?
Yeah, speed. The 1, the 2, the 6. Plenty of speed. If they break, then that's the one thing you've got to be able to. That's why I added a couple of the speeds in that, because sometimes horses coming out of the gate, we get some bumping and somebody just gets a little advantage and is clear and gone. All things being equal, if they come out of the gate cleanly, you've got to project a pace battle up front in race number 5 with the 1, 2, and 6. I think Cash Exchange, maybe a little bit of a reach, but this horse at the 5.5 and the 6 furlong distance can make a run from off the pace. I've seen steady grinding runs. Look at that race back in October behind the Great Provider in an open $8,000 race. Sneaky horse here. The trainer does well on the turn back. I like Cash Exchange at a fairly square price, maybe in that 4-1, 9-2 range when it's all said and done, to rally and get up over the speeds.
I included him as well. I think that his last few efforts are possibly a bit better than it looks on paper. Indeed, going back to this sprinting distance, was going over mile 16 last and a mile, but I did think that he showed a bit of early speed. If you look at the pace figures, showed enough early speed to possibly be good enough to be competitive over this sprinting distance. I included him in my ticket as well, but I ended up going with the 6 on top, Umu, still a name that I just enjoy pronouncing, for the Rob Closaris one with Charlie Marquez on board. Dueled last time out, but then quickened to clear with ease, and it was just speed on speed on speed. I don't think the 5.5 furlong is a problem for him at all here. That was a 6 furlong race, but when you're looking at the way he's been running in most of his races, he just goes to the front, and I think that he can do that here today. Hoping he's going to do that from the 6 draw. But what do you think about the 3 in this race? Because I included the 3 as well, and you did too.
Well, this is an interesting horse, and this is always a challenge when you're handicapping races and you see horses that have back class. They're claiming outfits that do very well off the claim, but they're also now being aggressive. So now going from the open 8 to the condition nickel, it's the journey. I'm going to throw in there because I looked at a stat going back. With this angle, with this type of move, Ness is about 25%. It's good enough for me. You've got a top rider in Trevor McCarthy. It's a horse that can come from just off the pace. Wasn't an awful try last time for the open 8. Pretty much just has to hold fairly close to form, and I think it's going to be a factor from off the pace. I'm looking for the 3 and the 4 to rally into this, I think, contested pace up front.
Yeah, I think it's a journey. I just wanted to make a note on that last race, the 31st of January, 5.5 furlong. It wasn't really a bobble. It was more of a bump. It was, I think it said a bump as well, but he bumped the horse on his inside and enough to really knock him off his feet and take a bit of the speed out of him. And of course, over 5.5 furlongs, that is very challenging. Ends up trailing the field, and he wasn't in contention late. So as you mentioned, if he just goes back to the form that he has shown in the past, is probably going to be a very strong horse here. As we move on to race 6, which is 7 furlongs, claiming 10 for 4-year-olds and upwards, which have never won 3 races. Now in race 6, we also have a video for the number 6, Big Boots.
Yeah, Big Boots, second off the claim for Kieran. Not a bad move, and this is the odds-on, pull the upset, right? And at a big price, Big Boots hugged the inside and is going to make a pretty good progression the last 1/8 of a mile. Only going to get beat about a neck, kind of comes knifing between horses to just miss. Big Boots back out to the 7 furlongs today, holding the same claiming level. Look for Big Boots to be somewhere in mid-pack, 3 or 4 lengths off the lead around the turn and trying to make a run into this pace. I think successful Zip, though. He's faced some really tough horses. He's got a good turn of foot. He's can make a little bit of move into brisk factions, but it's softened up last time against a much better field. I think he's got that knockout kind of a move, leaving a 3/8 pole that might separate himself from this field, turning for home. If he's not clearing the lane after making that move, I'm going to be terribly concerned, and I'm going to look for Grand Oasis, the 2 or the Big Boots, to pick up the pieces here.
I use the 5 successful Zip as well. Now, there's only one question mark I have for this horse. Looking at, he comes out that race of 21st of February, 5.5 furlong. Doesn't do that well, okay enough, but sprint races, no recorded works since the 1st of February.
Right.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, that's a little bit concerning. You know, you're almost looking at, what, a month or 3 weeks? So, yeah, you'd like to maybe say a little bit, just a normal routine, stamina build, helper. Yeah. That's a great pickup, and maybe take a look at this horse again in the paddock and see what he looks like, and then coming out on the track during the post-parade.
Doesn't have to mean the horse is not fit, but I prefer to see a little bit of a pipe opener. It's just a term that I've used in the past before. It's a term that we use a lot in Europe, basically meaning that you give a horse a little bit of a breather, a little bit of a chance to open their lungs and really get a bit of fitness in, especially over sprint distances. I think that could really help. So I did use the 5, but that was one of the question marks that I had. And I put the number 1 on top here. That is Top Me Up, Avery Wisman, Carlos Mancia. Lots of speed here. I think he can just break, go straight to go possibly to the front. Strong early present last time out, sat handily. I thought that was a tough field. The 3rd in that, Sassy King, came back yesterday to win at optional, claiming 16 grand level. And I do think that means that there was a little bit of class in the field. Now, he did finish further down, but this is such a class drop coming from that optional claimer, 25 grand to a 10 grand claimer, that I thought perhaps just going on class, he should win this.
Yeah, I think the horses to the outside, are they really going to let him get clear? To me, he's going to have to do something he's really never had to. I think he might have to try to pass horses. I don't know if Coolman, Cletus, or Successful Zip go. I think they're going to keep him honest. But, hey, like I say, that first 1/8 of a mile is always critical. So if the jocks are saying, okay, we're going to try to save some horse on the 3 and the 5, and Avery gets aggressive, then sure enough, I think this horse is going to need to clear in the opening furlong to win. Not saying he won't, but that's going to be the best tactics for this particular horse.
Let's quickly mention number 2, Grand Oasis as well, from the Claudio Gonzalez bond. A man that you really can't pass up in terms of picks today, because if he wins another 1, 2, or 3, you're going to be crying if you didn't include him on your exotics. So I think both of us used him here solely based on that reason, but also he's a bit of a closing style horse. How do you think that would set up?
I think he wants to see maybe a little bit more speed turning back, but we've seen these Claudio horses. He's had a couple of them, shorten up and just make a big sweeping move around the turn. This just might be the case. Cuts in half and claiming price off of that last race. That number, that last race is going to put him into the mix. Let's see if he can bring it back. But Claudio, he's going to be a name for all of our new fans you're going to become very accustomed with. Yes.
Exactly. He's always a pleasure to talk to as well. I spoke to him yesterday after Princess Katie won the Beyond the Wire stakes, and he was saying, well, if she keeps running the way she keeps running, we're going to be targeting the Black-Eyed Susan. Yeah. So that's a lofty promise, and hopefully he can make sure of that. But he's always great to talk to, and even if you have any questions, he always is happy to answer them. So anyone ever have any questions, do tweet them out because I can relay to him. I do believe he's on Twitter as well. I just saw he started following some people, so let's see if we can get him out and talking about his horses, because he definitely is one of the leading trainers here at Laurel Park. So I use Grand Oasis myself as well. Mentioned before, you said that figure puts him in the mix. Wasn't the fastest to break, but out of that race, the winner, Sensational Zip, came back and he bounced a little bit, so that made me worry a slightly bit, but I did think that Grand Oasis himself was good enough in that race to be in contention here. As we move on to the next race, which is race 7, 16 grand claimer for 3 years old, over 6 furlong. I start off using the 9, and I see that you got the 9 in the mix as well here, which is Gone Home for the Rodolfo Solomo Sanchez barn with Jorge Ruiz on board. Was competitive at this level last time out, third, only beaten by a length and a half. Possibly a little bit vulnerable, because I do feel because that was his career best in terms of speed figures, possible bound. It is a 3-week turnaround, but he is a gelding. I always hope that makes him a little bit less vulnerable to as much of a bounce factor, but he did go hard up front. What do you think of him?
He's going to have to be used a little bit to stay in contention, because there's some pretty quick horses in here. The opening part of the race, the 1 Determined Chance, the 2 Let's Rumble, they are awfully quick. I think Gone Home is going to keep them honest. I think he's going to make a move into it. Is he going to last that little bit? The last 16th of a mile is going to be critical. He is on the improve. This is a barn that doesn't run a ton of horses, but they're a pretty high percentage barn. Their horses seem to steadily improve once they get in their care. I just think 2 L's Meow, his horse, had a little excuse last time. It took a lot more play than I thought he would. And he didn't really fire after that early trouble. I think today, with a cleaner break, there's going to be plenty of speed for this horse to sit further back off the pace like he did a couple races back in that maiden score and just roll by when he won clear. So I'm looking at the 3 or the 9 to just kind of make that run. The first move is going to be Gone Home. Gone Home a little bit quicker than the 3 2 L's Meow. So if you're watching the race, the 3 is going to be a little bit further back, more than likely. But the 9 will be sitting, I would think, just off the 1 and the 2 into and around the turn.
Yeah, and 2 L's Meow has our leading rider, Trevor McCarthy, on board. He was the one with the triple yesterday, but he had a couple of triples about 2 weeks ago. I think he did about 2 days triples and then another double. So we know that he is right on form. I do believe he had 1 winner yesterday as well. So not one to ever be overlooked. I used the number 2 as well. Let's Rumble, Kieran McGee, Carol Cedino. I'm a very big fan of Carol Cedino. I think she's a very strong rider. Horses run for her, and she takes no prisoners.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't have to take a back seat really to anybody. She can finish on a racehorse, and she's that team, Kieran and Carol, they've been good for a couple of years now. So if you're looking at that, trainer jockey combinations, if you're a new fan or something, there's percentages that you can find in various handicapping sheets, whatever you want to call them, the daily racing form, our track program, they have those. So that's something you want to look at, and then you can sometimes not even handicap the horses as much as handicap the jockeys and trainers together. So all kinds of different angles you can take when you want to get yourself involved in betting on these races.
Well, I always feel that indeed for someone new to the sport, it pays to just pay attention to who the jockeys and the trainers are, because they're sometimes easier to familiarize yourself, and also the way they work together and which trainer uses which jockey and when can really provide you clues to the live horses.
Yeah.
We use it a lot. So as we get to the last race of the day here, race 8, of course, Quinella time. You simply pick 2 or more selection. As long as you have the first 2 home in any order, you win, and that is the last race every single day. day at Laurel Park. Now, last race here, race 8, is over a mile, claiming 10 for 4 years old and upwards, which have never run 2 races. And I do believe we have a video here for the number 1, Coffee Please, as well.
Now, we were just talking about Rodolfo Sanchez Salomon. First off the claim today is Coffee Please. This is the maiden breaking score back on February the 8th, and boy, did it quite easily. Moved up to contention, well in hand, was set down upper stretch and wide in under a drive. So Coffee Please right back holds the claiming level of 10,000, I think, but jumping into this 2-in-life condition is going to be perfect right back at this distance. Has speed enough. They went pretty quick early and was in range of those and went by them easily. I think this horse is going to move up off the claim. Look at that stat. Rodolfo Sanchez Salomon, 25% when horses run for him first time off of the claim with a positive ROI, so a positive return on investment when you play these horses for this particular trainer. Certainly Coffee Please going to be very tough. Glengar is my morning line favorite. I've made it 5-2. A big drop off of a long layoff, but Kieran previously had this horse and ran well in debut, so that gives me a little bit of hope here. This is serious attack mode, though, dropping to 8,000 off of this kind of layoff. I'll take a shot with Claudio on the outside with the 7, Antrim Aubrey, first off the claim as well. Another trainer that does very well percentage-wise off of the claim. Third time gelding for this horse. Not much at all for that 16, but I think this horse is sneaky, can be forward in here and maybe hold the trip. 7-1-3-8 for me, but I guess, if I had to say, okay, what horse is going to hit the board that I feel most confident in to run first, second, or third, it would probably be the 1, Coffee Please. What about you? You've got the horse.
I use the 1 on top as we wrap up. This is the last race of the day. Nonetheless, still very competitive. So do tune in and stay with us. And of course, use the First Bet app to make all your wagers in the palm of your hand. Handicapping tools, 300 tracks, replays, and if you deposit $100, they match your deposit if you use the promo code FIRSTMJC. That's 1STMJC. I'm Naomi Tucker. I was joined here by Keith Fuso. We have Dave Rutman coming in. We wish you a great day. Hope that you keep tuning in and that we can provide you with a little bit of comfort and fun for the day.
You got it. Good luck.